Every week I ask for comments or questions, and if truth be told, I don't get a lot of them. But I do receive one religiously, not religious comments, but with fantastic consistency. And this week's kind of provoked an idea, a bit of thinking. I thought rather than wait until next week, I'd do a video response. It's also, frankly, easier than writing. So here goes. Goes without saying, a big shout out to David. Thank you so much for the consistent comments. Certainly does encourage lower subscriber YouTube channels such as mine. So I really do appreciate it. In the comment, and I encourage you to go back to the last video and read it, the question was raised about what is enough. I mean, this is something that I talk about quite a lot. The idea that really we need to ask ourselves the big question, how much do we need? What do we need it for? And at a certain point, we need to kind of decide how much is enough. Does this apply to life in a more general sort of way? And I guess for a lot of people in their sort of daily struggles, growing up and then furthering their education, moving out into the working world, advancing, developing on a sort of on the personal front as well, perhaps eventually settling down, having children. You reach a point where enough is enough, and you're quite satisfied with how things are. And I guess you settle. And it's interesting that we settle in these kind of more profound areas of our life. And yet, paradoxically, many people don't settle in others. What I mean? Well, one area where people are truly aspirational, continually looking for more, is in a sense in terms of physical, tangible things, money, stuff, and even praise, rewards, validation. So we're continually seeking ever more in those sort of areas. Well, many people are. And we settle in areas of maybe more philosophical, deeper, inner, spiritual development. And that's quite curious. And it does seem to me that it's the wrong way round. That in these areas that I've just been talking about, things like money, fame, validation, these are areas that are transactional. I mean, the money in itself is of no use whatsoever. $1 million in your bank account is simply 7 digits on a piece of paper or on your screen. Its real value lies in its transactional potential, what you can exchange it for. And I've often said, and many people will make this comment, that money is simply a means of facilitating exchanges, transaction of goods and services. On the other hand, these deeper spiritual questions, this is the domain of the transformation. And I guess what I'm driving at is that we need to be satisfied, we need to work out how much of the kind of physical stuff we need for transactional purposes, and then simply not worry about it and say, I have enough. and focus our energies and attentions on the transformational things. Where I believe actually we never have enough. And I don't mean that in the sense that you're continually pursuing more and more validation. I have 1,000 likes on my social media account, so I want 2,000, then 10,000, then 100,000, then 1,000,000, and so on. A sort of mad exponential spiral that quickly runs out of control. No, but I think what I'm talking about in terms of transformational is where that transformation is part of something that is more deeply philosophically grounded, and that is the mastery path, whether it's self-mastery or the mastery of something, where you are spending a lifetime in pursuit of an ideal, being an ideal husband or wife, parent, being an ideal person in terms of the role you fulfill within your society, or perhaps mastering a skill or a technique as you move towards some sort of, if I was to put it in philosophical terms, some sort of Platonic ideal form. You know, you're making art. Your art, for that matter, your personality, your contribution to society will never be the maximum it possibly can be, and therefore you always have something to strive towards. You might pose the question, but what about, for example, me as an artist, where I'm pursuing more success or better art, and that is in terms of, I suppose, validation. And in that sense, what I'm looking for is getting enough of a currency to deliver a result that I want. So, for example, if I want to be exhibited in major museum spaces, I need to have the validation of critics who will rubber stamp my art, so that eventually I have the invitations to show my work in a museum. And this might all seem a little overly egotistical, but if my objective on a deeper level is to touch as many people as I can, or shine a spotlight on something through my art, or share an idea as widely as I possibly can, then that validation and the wider stage that goes with it is in service of a deeper purpose. So it seems to me that this very complex question of enough is one that we need to address, continually keep a close eye on, and get it the right way round. We need to work out what is enough in terms of the transactional things, and pursue more in terms of the transformational things. And by more, of course, I don't mean that you need to be in some kind of perfectionist rat race or stressful pursuit. I mean, it could be that you simply do what you've always done in an ever more graceful sort of way. And in that sense, you are doing it better. But better doesn't necessarily imply at the cost of something. So those are some ideas that kind of flowed out of the question that was, or the comment rather, that David posed. I thought I'd share them today. Why wait until next week? And next week I'll start looking at, actually interestingly, I think an element of this whole question that builds on what I've just been speaking about. And that is our sense of vision, and wrapped in with that, the vision of who we are and who we can become. I think that's really at the heart of a lot of what I've been talking about. So that's it, a little bonus video on a Saturday. Let me know what you think. Comments on the response to the comments and all that. And until next week, trust your lives are filled with joy, and ciao from a sunny Brazil.